Welcome back to Pizza and a Football Argument. This week we have two people. Tye Barrett, musician. Chad Conine, sportswriter. We don't have to make any other qualifications.
Can I just say I'm happy that you've no longer been saying musician? I take
Did I say musician before?
Musician? No, I'm just joking.
Okay, so as you can maybe see or maybe tell, this morning we have breakfast burritos instead of pizza. And that's because it's a busy week. The Baylor-Oklahoma game being on Thursday night moves everything up.
Yeah.
Bless you, Tye. So we're having breakfast and breakfast burritos in a football argument instead of pizza in a football
breakfast
argument.
Breakfast burrito is kind of like a pizza folded in half.
Right, yeah, sure. And also, we will both be attending the Smash Burger preview tonight.
Yes.
And that sort of makes it so we can't have a 4 o'clock pizza.
Yeah.
Because then we will ruin our dinner.
Exactly.
Let's jump into football argument. It's a big week, obviously, this week. You were a freshman at Baylor in 2003, I believe, right?
2003.
Yeah. So you got here right in the middle of the doldrums of the terrible football teams. In fact, they had just switched over to Guy Morris at that time.
Yeah, just switched over to Guy Morris, the man in black.
Now, when you graduated, did you think that there would be ever a week like this where you would be looking forward to a top 25, top 10 matchup on a Thursday night with Big 12 and national championship implications all over it?
No, when I was a Baylor student, you looked forward to that one game a year that you weren't supposed to win that you somehow managed to win. And sometimes that game came every other year or every 3 years. But that was really the case until Art Briles got here. And so a week like this, I feel like most Baylor fans don't even really know what to expect. You know, we have some familiarity with high ranking and some important games when it comes to basketball. And so maybe that's helped prepare us a little bit. But yeah, this is really uncharted territory for the Baylor Bears. And it's really exciting, a really great time to be in Waco.
It is. It's a great time to be in Waco. I am not a Baylor fan. I've never been confused with the Baylor fan, but I get to cover Baylor for a couple of different organizations, and that's really exciting for me, so I appreciate that. And, you know, in the same point, that I don't think, you know what, and I don't want to say like I forecast this or whatever, but I always felt like Baylor was not going to take steps up from being terrible to being mediocre for a while to being good. I always felt like it had to be sort of a Flash Boyle type of thing, like you're not very good, and then bam, something flips, and they're Big 12 title contenders. And you know, I can make the argument that that's what's happened, because from 2008 until now, there's been a somewhat gradual but pretty immediate turnover in what the program is.
I'm probably most interested in how Baylor fans will react to the game, win or lose. But what does a Baylor fan look like after Thursday night, on Friday morning? If you win, then is it the same sort of excitement going on for the rest of the season, or is there going to be the assumption that we've done it, which I think would be dangerous? Or if they lose, is everyone going to hop off the bandwagon and go back to thinking that, oh, Baylor's just, they're good, and it's fun to watch, but, you know.
Well, I don't think that it's going to be good enough. I think most people that have looked around a little bit have figured out that Oklahoma State is probably better than Oklahoma. So the big challenge is going to Oklahoma State and winning at this point. And that's not going to happen. That's several weeks away still.
Sure.
And then if they win that game, then the Texas game here on December 7th becomes massive.
And don't discount Texas Tech. I know they've lost 2 games, but they always play Baylor hard, and it is they're a very dangerous team.
I think that Texas Tech showed the last 2 weeks that they're better than West Virginia, Iowa State, and Kansas, and TCU. And so that makes them a lot better than where they were forecast at the beginning of the season, which was 7th, 8th, 9th, you know, in a lot of places. But I think that with the first-year coaching staff and a freshman quarterback, there are just way too many cracks in the facade, or whatever you want to say. And so that, you know, they make a lot of mistakes, and a team that makes a lot of mistakes doesn't beat teams like Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and Baylor. But we'll see. I mean, that's the exciting thing about it.
They're going to be dangerous. in a few years.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, on the other hand, they are looking more like the sort of dangerous Oklahoma State team that they've been the last couple of years. So that's why
Kind of waking up a little bit.
Yeah. That leads me to another point, and the last question we'll address today. I was covering the Texas Tech Oklahoma State game Saturday night, and I was riding in the media shuttle back to my car after the game, and the person driving the shuttle had on the radio the post-game show, and this old West Texas dude called in, and he complained that he didn't really feel like the Red Raiders played for him that night. Like the stands were full, they had a blackout, everybody was ready for it, and then Oklahoma State jumped out to a 21-0 lead, and this old guy said, they didn't really play for us, and I'm upset about that. And I thought that was so ridiculous because, in my opinion, and getting to interview players both midweek and after the game, especially after the game that they lose, those players play because they love to play football, and this is the opportunity they've been given to play football. And just like any other sport, when they walk off the field, they can know that what mistakes they've made, what they did well, and they can be okay with that. And it's a lot easier in that respect, I think, for players than fans, because fans, live vicariously, sort of. But the reality is that the players, I don't think, ever play for that guy or the fans in general. They play because they play, And I think but at the same time, I think that we all feel that way to an extent. The teams that we follow and that we pull for, we always attach ourselves, and we believe that they're playing because they want us specifically to be happy that they won,
Sure.
And they feel bad because they let us down when they lose. And I don't think they feel that way, and I think it's sort of naive and maybe a little bit misguided for us to believe that as fans.
So I'm going to have to bring the argument, I guess, to today's show by saying I do understand what you're saying. I do think that it is the job of a team to go out there and play no matter who's there, and to win no matter who's there and who's watching. The goal is always to win. But you look at Art Briles when he came to Baylor, and one of the things that he said was that Baylor needed to change the game day atmosphere. And in some sense, you have a responsibility as a fan to show up and cheer on your team and provide them energy, to provide noise, get the crowd going, and their responsibility is to deliver a win.
Well, thanks for joining us. That's all for Pizza and a Football Argument. Once again, thank you to Taqueria El Crucero for providing the breakfast burritos.
Delicious.
Absolutely. See you next week.